Friendships never go out of style.
Oh, you're the best friend anybody's ever had. And it's funny, but I feel as if I've known you all this time. But I couldn't have, could I? If you're not over here in 15 minutes, you can find a new best friend. Welcome to the Best Friends Playbook podcast.
With your hosts, Crystal
And Allie.
We've known each other for over 27 years, and we're here to share our wisdom on friendships in film, TV, and literature.
Grab some coffee, our favorite, and get cozy. All right, yeah, so we are here with Lewis and Lovecraft. You guys are, what do you call people like gardeners or green thumbs, but are you book thumbs?
Are you asking what we call ourselves or our fan base?
I'm just curious.
Ask him that.
Because we have a name for our fan base despite Hannah's many.
It's a terrible name.
It's not a terrible name. It's a great name.
What is it?
I call our fan base the Ghoul Gang.
Okay.
Yeah. What's up, Ghoul Gang? Welcome back to another episode of Between Lewis and Lovecraft.
I explicitly forbade that.
Well, our fan base is still growing. I've never really thought to come up with a name. But technically, Tyler, you're not supposed to make up your fan base name. Your fans are supposed to make it.
Oh, really? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
I just...
Taylor Swift didn't call her fans Swifties. They took it. And then
Or the Beehive.
Yeah, and then Katy Perry is the Katy Cats.
It is?
Yeah.
That's a bad one.
Benedict Cumberbitches.
Yeah,
is that what they call
Yeah, they're
them?
called. Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatches or Cumberbitches.
Oh my god, I love that. I'm gonna join Jessica for that name.
Did you want to be a Cumberbitch?
Yeah. Oh my god, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's just what do people who are big book nerds, what do they call themselves?
Book nerds, I think.
Bookworms.
Bookworms.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, you're bookworms. Okay, so we got the bookworms, and I guess we're cinephiles.
Sure.
Cinephile, yeah.
Cinephile.
Yeah.
So we're covering a really depressing topic today, guys. Just
Who
get
chose
ready.
this?
Normally Crystal and I we're have some coffee, but maybe you should put some Baileys in your coffee, or just if you're listening to this at 7 a.m., you should probably just have a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a mug of wine.
Yeah.
Thermos.
So we are covering The Handmaid's Tale.
Yay.
Yeah.
And Crystal and I are currently only about halfway through the book, but it sounds like you guys both finished the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had read it before and did a little reread.
And I had to prove to Hannah that I'm capable of finishing a book.
This book is really short, Tyler. That's not braggable.
Don't take away my victories!
Your co-host and your whole podcast is around reading books, doesn't finish books?
Yes.
Whoa.
He has a lot of opinions about books without reading them.
It's impressive.
I have a lot of opinions.
Just period. Full stop.
I mean,
And
just go by the Cliff Notes version if you're not going to do it.
Yeah, or the Hulu show.
I've had to learn what I have really bad ADD. Sitting down and reading a book does not work for me. And I just realized that rhymed, and I'm very sad about that.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah. And so I had to learn the best way for me to absorb book knowledge is through audiobook format, and it's changed my life. So
That's fair.
Yeah.
I feel like an audiobook of Handmaid's Tale is probably even more depressing than just reading
Especially
it.
when it's read by Claire Danes.
Oh.
What?
Yeah. She did a
that's
really
impressive.
good job.
Was this on Audible?
It was on Audible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why
she does a
Claire
really good job.
Danes? Of all people, I'm just wondering, how did they come to that conclusion?
I feel like with bigger books, they get bigger actors to do the voicing.
Well,
she was probably a fan.
She's big on Homeland.
Yeah,
so
I
random.
think this was right before Homeland took off because the audiobook was done in 2010, 2012.
Oh, interesting.
At least the version I listened to. So I think it's just a matter of timing. A lot of actors go into the studio to pick up gigs like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I speaking as some random guy in Oregon doing actors, as I talk to an actor or two, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but they also get paid dirt cheap too. Like Tina Fey, when she did her audio for her book, she did it in her closet because it wasn't a thing at the time.
And that is the best
Really?
audiobook ever.
Yeah,
I'm
Bossy
just saying.
Pants.
She's
Is it?
she is
Should
my
we do an episode
spirit
on Tina
animal,
Fey?
and it is the best audiobook ever.
Yeah, we could do an episode on Tina Fey.
Tina Fey and Amy Poehler are
Oh yeah, and they've both
my
done
favorite
books.
best
yeah.
friend duo.
Yeah.
That
I
was-
have both of their audiobooks. No big deal. I'm that obsessed.
I'm glad we could get another like episode pitch for you guys right here.
I know.
Tina
Yeah,
Fey,
that
Amy
way-
Poehler.
I want to do it.
Well, yeah, you guys could
See-
collab with us, and that way we can redeem ourselves for doing something less depressing.
You know, if just again throwing this out there, you know, in October, if we wanted to trade hosts for stuff, I'd be down for hanging out with Crystal and doing Tina Fey episode.
So I
love her.
was telling them that I really want to do an episode of It because of the friends.
Pass.
Exactly. So I was like,
Yeah.
Crystal would be terrified. But Hannah wants to do a whole like month on Stephen King. So I was like, let me join you so I can talk about these friendships.
She can talk about it forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't go anywhere near that shit. So
Told you guys.
there you go.
I think the last horror film we got Crystal to see was not The Ring. It was the other one.
The Grudge.
The Grudge.
Oh my God. I
Oh my
still
God,
hate
I
you
watched
for
that when I
that.
was 13 and it messed me up for life. I still can't like
Yeah.
watch those movies.
We were like trick-or-treating because that's what you do. We did it till we were 18. I think we were like 15 at the time when this movie came out, and we had to cross like this big like dark open field to go to the next neighborhood. And was Austin your boyfriend at the time? I don't know.
Yeah, he was there.
And the
That
field
asshole made me go to that movie.
so and the field was kind of dark, and so as we're like running through it, and he's just like I'm pretty sure he got whacked in the balls really hard for that.
yeah. I spent,
Deservedly so.
Yeah.
I spent like that whole movie in the theaters like this. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crystal's like
terrible.
behind fingers.
terrible.
Okay, so we're definitely going to talk about June and Moira because they're a big deal, but we also want to talk about the Handmaids because they got each other's back, and then also like comparing the show and the books because Crystal and I have seen all the way up until like mid season 3.
almost done with season 3.
So
yeah.
we'll have a pretty good balance of comparison here.
And June and Emily, right?
Yeah.
Little
Oh yeah.
comparison of like friendship before Gilead and friendship in Gilead. Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
they're definitely
Yeah.
important because they create like a big ally. She also gets like June to, like fight the good fight.
That's right.
Mayday.
So I know
I just
that-
read that part like this morning.
Oh yeah. I was curious, Hannah, since like you've read the book before, and I know sometimes you guys do like a little bit of background like on the author. Did you have any like fun tidbits about like Margaret Atwood and who she is? If not, no pressure because we didn't talk about it. So I was just curious.
The only thing is that I didn't realize how old Margaret Atwood is now.
Right?
She
Oh.
just wrote the new one and she's 80 years old. I'm
It's
like,
funny you say that because I was
girl.
going to say it sounds like an old lady name. That's like my only
Yeah.
comment. Margaret Atwood
She was born
sounds like
in
a really old lady.
39.
Holy
Yeah,
crap,
like
wow.
it when I was reading the forward of the book, it was nuts that she was writing this book like before the Berlin Wall had been brought down and she was in Germany.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this book is literally a classic.
Yeah, and it has a lot of like more 80s feminism references than it
Yeah.
does like modern day feminist references.
Because it was 86,
I
right?
think 85.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it was published.
85.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I kind of tried to keep that in mind as I read it, so that I could understand the time frame, because it is a completely different sense now than back then.
Well, yeah, and she tried to imagine some futuristic things like online banking sort of in the book.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely, we'll talk about it with the show, but they definitely like readapted it to be our time.
Which
And the way she says compu checks and compu like bytes, I was like, I think she's trying to like say computer, but they're not like a thing yet.
Yeah, so she was ahead of her
I was
time.
like, I think that's going to be a computer one day.
that's so funny. Yeah, the writing of the book it's very dystopian, and it's kind of like just like sort of explaining like this is what the system is. And she also took the approach of, I know that she says it's not from the point of view of June, but like it clearly obviously is. But there's this other book that I've read that's very dystopian called Anthem by Anne Rad.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one too.
And yeah, that's a nice, good one. It's like less than 80 pages. You can handle it, Tyler.
Tyler could totally
Thank you
do
very
it.
much.
Yeah. But in that also, we never get like the person's name. They have like a coded name
Yep.
similar to like how June does. And so I I definitely did like that style. I just hate that the book was then became more depressing than the show. Like I like that my June has angst in the show. Like she only has a little bit in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that drove me crazy the first time reading it. I was like, come on, lady, why don't you like fight back a little bit?
She's like, I've been
but then
gifted
in the
with
show,
a good
she was
life.
always swearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know in the book, she's like,
Man
I've been
up.
gifted with a good life. I'm grateful to God. I'm like, who are you?
Yeah. In season 3, she's like trying to slash people with a scalpel and stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's
We're
great.
not there yet. Sorry.
Spoilers.
I'm just saying she's way cooler in season 3.
Yeah. So
I think it's interesting because it is I don't know. I come from a household that is not unlike Gilead as a whole, which is interesting. Hannah and I were kind of talking about it a little bit before we started recording, like just my things, and I really appreciated her inner monologue because it wasn't unlike some of the stuff that I had to deal with as a kid. Like acting out, but acting out in a way that's only important to me and acting out in a way that doesn't get me in trouble. Mm-hmm. Like that's the thing. She, in the books, because I haven't watched any of the TV show, she wants to act out, but she cannot stand the idea of actually having anything happen to her. She wants to steal packets of sugar or something from the room without anybody noticing that she's doing it. She wants to do it for herself.
Well, yeah, but the stakes are also a lot higher. She'll like get an eye cut out. If she
Yeah.
gets shot.
Sure, but yeah, and obviously I'm talking about like myself, like I would get grounded or whatever.
Get a whipping.
But I get the mentality that you still have angst, but you understand the consequences enough to like
Yeah.
it's this weird give and take. It's this weird middle ground of like I gotta express myself somehow or else I will die. But if I do it too much, I will also die.
Well, that's smart. That's self-preservation.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you'll only do a little bit. She knows better than to act out too much because then she'll die. You don't want to end up on the wall,
Right.
right?
I mean, yeah,
No, you
she's
do
even
not.
pretty
You
good
do
about
not.
making sure that she doesn't lose a limb or get burned.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she
Is there
mostly.
a lot more of that in the TV show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's like none of it in
eyes,
this
Yeah,
book.
because
hand
in the
burning.
books, Janine didn't lose an eye, right? I feel like
I don't
Janine
know.
was fully intact in the whole book.
Janine, the one that gives birth.
Yeah.
Yeah, she never
She
has
never-
anything happen to her other than she loses her mind.
Yeah, in the
Who needs a mind?
But I mean, in the book, does she try and jump off a bridge with the baby, or was that something just in the
don't think
in the
so.
show?
No, we don't
No.
see
We
don't
don't
see
see
any
Janine anymore.
relationship with Janine after she's given birth, and then you see her once more after that, I think. And by that time, she loses her mind, and that's it. That's the end of it.
Oh, that's sad because I really like what they've done with Janine and like because it's funny she was kind of like a party girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she got her eye taken out because she talked out of turn when she first arrived there. And then for her way of coping was like, I'm going to become a religious good girl.
Yeah.
And she kind of acts like a child, but
Yeah.
she still is like upset that she like can't be with her daughter and she can't be with that family. So it's really interesting like how much it has messed with her, but she actually does want to follow the rules. She's just very emotional.
She wants that approval from Aunt Lydia. Aunt Lydia's like her mom.
Yeah.
Like that she
And
acts
that
like
comes
a
from the
child.
books too. Like in the books, Aunt Lydia has a special bond with Janine and like tells her secrets that then Janine tells the other girls.
Yeah, because she's like, oh, you guys are like my sisters. I tell you everything. Yeah.
I love Aunt Lydia though. She's like my favorite character to hate.
I know. I've like such a love-hate with her.
I love her so much.
I think
and hate her.
The actress is just
Yeah.
so good at
She's
it. Like,
so good.
It's hard not
when
to
she
like.
almost. Oh, never mind.
She's about to give me a spoiler. Well,
no, them. I don't want to give them a spoiler.
well, I don't know. Are you going to go past season 1, Hannah?
I actually like last night read the synopsis for all the other episodes, so I sort of know what's going on.
Oh, okay.
I'm
well,
never gonna watch the
I
show.
don't have Hulu.
Well,
so
in
I'm
season
probably not
2,
gonna
she
watch
like
it.
almost dies, you know, or
Yeah.
it kind of like looks like she's gonna die, and I was like pretty upset. I was like, no, she's like the best part, one of the best parts of the show. Like,
I'm fine with her
I love
dying.
to hate her. No, I love to hate her though. She's so good.
Yeah, Emily goes at her and almost takes her out.
Nice.
I mean,
Nice.
she basically has no use anymore. She can't walk.
Aunt Lydia?
Yeah.
Oh, she does eventually.
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard for her.
Yeah.
Um,
She's like a cockroach. She'll never die. Telling you.
So yeah, June and Moira, they've been friends since college and before like all this crazy stuff happened. And I kind of like that for them as friends. They've had a very like sisterly bond. Like Moira goes in her things and she just acts like she owns everything that June owns and etc. And they kind of are like very like teasingly and playful with each other. And I also then like that Moira then has like a sisterly brotherly bond with Luke later too.
Yeah, she kind of becomes part of their family. Because I mean, you never really see Moira's family, but she's a lesbian in the book too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
Gender traitor.
So I'm wondering, like, if her family accepts her, and if her family doesn't accept her, then maybe that's why Luke and June kind of take over, and she kind of lives with them and kind of.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like we never
see her family.
Yeah, we never see her family, and then we later on discover that she decides to actually have a baby so she can sell it for adoption. And then she ends up dating her doctor that helped her through the whole process. So that was like her only form of family. And
that's all show stuff.
Yeah, it's all show
that's
stuff.
all show. Yeah, I mean, with Moira, you get the college years, a little bit of the after college years, and this is random, I know, but I really think in the book at least, she's got a major crush on June's mom.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know, I
didn't know that.
I remember seeing them in a scene together.
In a scene, I don't know, but
they're in a scene together. Yeah.
In the book, there's a couple of times that she talks about her mom to her, like, your mom's like really cool. I think she's really, I don't even know if she uses the word cute or anything like that, but it's interesting because I'm a dude, so I read into it a lot more than other people, I guess. But like that, it's just something that I noticed. And I think it was because Moira specifically said to June, like, you're not my type. You know, I'm not attracted to you at all, so don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah, and then they hugged and made up after that.
Yeah, but then she does compliment June's mom a lot.
Well,
So
but
I don't
June's
know.
mom is like an activist.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think they just have more in common because Moira's very much the rebel and,
Yeah.
and June
Right.
is
So
not
what
at all.
would
But maybe that's hot
Moira's
to her.
type be?
Yeah, maybe
I
that's
don't-
hot to her, you know.
Maybe it's just like the older like person crush, like they're a mentor type thing.
Yeah, it's
She's
like
just,
how
looking up to her.
yeah, like the student likes the professor because like they're so smart and worldly and all that.
Yeah.
Or
which
she
I'm
has
sure
mommy
pissed
issues.
June off.
She could have mommy issues.
Totally have mommy. Sorry.
So as far as what you guys have seen of Moira, I mean, because you guys haven't finished reading the book at all,
No.
right?
Correct.
And I Hannah, I think you're the only connection here between the book and the movie
And the show.
And yeah, because in the book, Moira ends up somewhere, and I don't want to spoil it if it ends up coming in.
No,
later
she
in the
goes.
book.
She goes to the Jezebels.
Yes, okay,
Because
cool.
she tries to escape, right? I don't know.
She
if
tries to escape the Red Center with June.
Yeah, does that happen in the book?
So in the book, it's totally different.
Yeah.
In the book, Moira escapes the Red Center by herself.
Yeah.
June's not
Oh.
involved at all.
She just hears about it.
And then they bring her back the first time
Mm-hmm.
and they whip her feet. And that's when all the other handmaids like smuggle her sugar and like pick her up and carry her to her classes and stuff, which is very like solidarity type stuff. And then the second time she tries, she does escape. And that's when she gets to the Jezebels.
Yeah, after a
Oh.
long
After a
long
while, a
journey.
long
I don't
journey.
know. Again, I don't know what happens in the show, but as I was reading it, or rather listening to it, I felt like if I was doing a TV show, there would be a point where I'm having flashbacks and showing Moira run away. She gets away, and then and if I was producing it or directing it or whatever, the next episode or an episode or two after would be an entire episode about Moira's story ending up at the Jezebel.
Oh yeah, in between.
Because there was a good story in there where she's going from, one place to another. She's dealing with different factions of religions
Yeah, the
that are
safe
hiding her
houses.
from, the rain, not the rain, the
eyes.
Yeah. Fuck. I can't think of the right word right now. Everyone stop looking at me.
The Guardian?
Guardian? The Guardians?
The regime.
Oh.
Sorry. I kept wanting to say rain. That's not it.
Well, the reign of terror.
So I thought it was really a really cool idea for an entire episode of a show. So I was going to ask, is that something that happens in the show? Do you see that?
Yeah, some of it. It's not a whole episode, I don't think. And they only show her try and escape once before the Jezebels.
Yeah. So like the way it is in the movie or the show is June arrives to the center after Moira, and Moira is actually giving June tips on how to survive versus the other way around. And then the bathroom scene where they're talking through the hole, they're like already there and they've already planned this out and done it a bunch of times. Yeah. But so then it's Moira's idea to escape and have her as a handmaid, and then Moira as an aunt. And she gets away. And when June goes back, she's the one where her feet get whipped, and they bring her like the sugar packets and stuff. So then it's up to June after that. When she gets away, nobody knows what's happened to her. There's rumors that she's dead. But then when June goes to the Jezebels with Fred, that's where she sees her there. Yeah. And all Moira says is like, I got caught and they brought me here, but it's fine because there's plenty of drugs. And I just
her whole spirit's broken then, though.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is a good...
Because her spirit's not broken at all in the book.
Gotcha. Yeah. So her spirit's completely broken, and it's nice because then... June has to go back to the Jezebels to do something for Mayday, and Fred thinks it's to see Moira, and they have this really good scene where now instead of Moira, who normally always tells June to like keep her shit together, it's now June telling Moira. Like now she's the strong one for Moira, and she's like pulling her out of it, and she
get your shit together, fight back.
Yeah, she
go get the package and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, like
I like that.
Yeah, like they yell at each other. It's really good.
I mean, I like that more because you see more development in Moira.
Yeah.
But I did like the book in the sense of like Moira, it seemed like Moira always wanted more out of life. And not that her spirit was broken, but that she finally like saw how the world was, because she went on this journey of her own, escaping and moving and moving and moving, and she finally got to a place where she's like, look, the world sucks and I'm just gonna make the best with what I got. And she does say like, there's drugs, there's alcohol here, like you can actually live your life, and there's lots of women, and they kind of prefer having sex with women because the dudes are all slobs. And like maybe it's the optimist in me, but I like that she's happy. Like, I like that she's found a place that she's happy.
She's like, this
I
ain't
want
so
her
bad.
to be happy.
No, see, I think the whole point that they did in the show was by putting her in that situation where her spirit gets broken and she has no more fight or will. When she does eventually get out and she goes and finds Luke in Canada. I don't know if this is season 1 or 2, so.
I think it's at the end of season 1.
Right. So she finds Luke in Canada, and I think the whole point is that it drives her to want to fight back and to save others, which is why she ends up like helping the refugees in Canada. So I think it's just kind of a way to push her in that direction. Whereas if she didn't go through all that shit there, would she have done that when she left?
Yeah, because everyone thinks you can't get out of Gilead. And so once she breaks that barrier and then others get out and stuff, it kind of proves to people that like they're not stuck in this place forever, and there is a way to fight back. But I also like that the show gave her more of an arc and a fight. It's similar to when we were doing Lord of the Rings. Tolkien wrote like these very basic flat characters where like Aragorn's running around showing his sword, and he's like, I'm the heir of Isildur. I'm amazing. Yeah. But then PJ,
so shiny,
right? So he's like, look, orcs, you should be scared. But then like Peter Jackson took that and he's like, no, like he needs to be an actual guiding light for these people and to make them have hope that like there can be change. So we have to set up this arc for him where like he doesn't feel like he's destined to be the king and he doesn't know if he can actually live up to it and all that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's good that the show took that liberty and made it so that Moira had more of a fight, because the book I think is just supposed to be more of this example of like the world has become this and this is what happens to these people. Mm-hmm. And so I'm actually really happy with like all the fight and angst in the women that like they're not gonna like stand down from this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I agree. Like I said, I think it's cool what they did in the show. I was just happy for Moira in the book.
Which, yeah, I guess like I think if I were to be stuck in any of these places in Gilead, I would probably rather be a Jezebel, because like if you
isn't that what's sick about the book though?
Yeah, like if you can't escape, do I want to be raped once a month and hopefully have a kid, or do I want to go to a place and do drugs and have alcohol and have sex with people I don't want and then have sex with people I do want? And it's like, well, I'm gonna die at some point. Maybe I can speed it up. Like,
yeah, it's pretty. It's like the world's worst would you rather.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll take the kitchen staff one.
Actually, no, being a Martha would be.
I'll be a Martha.
If I couldn't be a Martha, then I'd be a Jezebel. But yeah.
All right.
Martha
now,
before
again,
anything before a fucking Handmaid.
Yeah.
Literally.
No, anything before the colonies.
Oh,
That's true, yeah.
shit. Yeah.
True.
And so.
A couple questions real quick.
Yeah.
Now this is a book, right? So I can't see them. I don't know what it is in the show. But Martha's, I thought Martha's were black. Is that not a thing?
I haven't read enough for the book to say.
I thought they were doing a whole like racist thing where they're like, black women are not allowed to have children. Only white people can have children now, and black women are Marthas.
I think there was some allusion to that. I can't remember if they were Marthas or if something else happened to them, but there was some racial undertone in the book.
Which is interesting because it's not like that at all in the show.
The show is like way diverse.
Yeah, but you can sort of see that they did allude to it, because it looks like majority of the commanders are white men.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. But like, some of the handmaids are black.
Yeah.
I did find it interesting in season 3. There's a quick clip of Aunt Lydia with 2 other aunts sitting at a table, and they're like reassigning handmaids, and she makes a comment, they don't want her, they don't want a black handmaid. Mm-hmm. So I think it is something for some people, at least in the show.
Yeah, so I think because there are also some wives that are not white that are married to commanders. Yeah, there's a few in the ceremony when they do like the
birthing and stuff,
the big baptism to like.
Oh.
Yeah, so when they come in really quick, you see there was like an Asian wife and a couple other races.
Okay.
So I think the show like tried to be really good at being diverse, but then also hinting that like there are a bit of issues.
Well, I feel like if the human population really is dying, they don't really care what color you are. If you can produce kids, you're going to be a handmaid kind of a thing,
I was
right?
just going to make that point. I'm like, it's so freaking stupid.
Yeah, like you can't be
in
picky.
a time when nobody can have babies, you're being picky about what color skin people can have babies.
Yeah. And it was funny though, because before we saw more Marthas, I did feel like a lot of them were women of color, but then in season 3 we start to see more of them are white too. Mm-hmm. And they're also just like older women. And I think it's in season 3 one of the Marthas says that like she was so happy she could cook, otherwise she would be a Jezebel. Commander Lawrence's Martha.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, because she said she couldn't have kids and she had no other skill, but because she could cook, she was saved to be a Martha. Nice. Which is really sad.
Better freshen up on my cooking skills.
I know. I thought about that for a second. I was like, I don't know how to make like amazing dishes. Fuck.
You better get on that.
I know.
In case.
And Tyler's like, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, Tyler's safe.
I'm good. Yeah.
As
long as I can play Scrabble, I'm good.
Yeah. Do you feel like in the book there's a lot of unity between the girls still, like there is in the show?
Yes.
Less
Less
rebelliously so. More the sneaky acts of kindness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I also think it's a certain kind of I don't know. There's June does not like Janine, like as a person.
No.
She does not like her
in the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody really trusts her in the book, even though she does tell them things that Aunt Lydia tells her. Like, they don't trust her because they think she's feeding it back to Aunt Lydia.
I would feel the same way.
But there's a certain sense of like, I don't know, there's this camaraderie that overcomes that.
They're all rooting for them. Like, when there's a pregnant handmaid, they're hoping that things go well, because I think they imagine that when they're in that situation, like, they're going to want things to go well for them too, so they don't get, axed.
And so I think it's a really interesting dynamic for these characters to have, where they are both rooting for each other and they dislike each other quite a bit.
And distrust each other.
It's like being a sibling, honestly. And you have a terrible parent that, like, your sibling can both be your best friend and snitch you out to the parent at the same time. And at the same time, you're ultimately rooting for your sibling to do well in life, but just like, whatever, just don't bother me though. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was seeing. It literally to me was like a sisterhood.
I looked at it like, I felt like Margaret Atwood took feminism and just like flushed it down the toilet, right? So no more feminists. And then on top of that, you have this group of women, and basically the society like makes them not trust each other when they should be trusting each other, right? Like I just read the first 50 pages yesterday, and it was entirely like, well, I could trust her, but I don't, they can't say anything to anybody because there's no trust there. And even though they're handmaids and they're going through the exact same shit, it's very interesting.
Yeah, because it kind of it's very much survival of the fittest.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so, June thinks that Emily, her first walking partner, she thinks she's pious, but they're both just trying to prove that they're good enough because they don't know who's going to like tattle on each other.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they don't want to end up on the fucking wall.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
I thought that dynamic was really interesting, how they're, especially in the book, they both reveal, like, they come to the understanding of like, oh, I thought you were a spy. Oh, I thought you were a spy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you've always been so pious. Oh, you were always so pious. And like, they're doing it to each other. And there's with each relationship, there's one moment where you put your life in their hands just to see what their response is going to be. And it happened with, what's her name in the book, the walking
Of
companion?
Glenn.
Of Glenn. Well, yeah, of Glenn in the book, and then Emily in the show. And then even with of Glenn's replacement.
Oh, yeah.
June.
But it doesn't go well with her.
Well, it doesn't go well, but even then, she still gets off, right? Because the replacement is like, stop talking to me. I know what you're talking about, and it ends here. Mm-hmm. You need to stop. And so that girl even has June's life in her hands just with the one small thing that she did. So like it was the dynamics were super well done in that book, I think.
Yeah, because I feel like it was also a reflection of like what women are taught to do in today's society. Like, without us even being oppressed, like, women are taught that you need to find a husband and you need to have a good job. So you literally have to like be a bitch to all the other girls because they're going to take the best male. And
it's a zero-sum game.
Yeah. And so like growing up, girls are taught to not be nice to each other. And if you are nice, you either have an agenda or you're a lesbian. It's like, why are you
talking shit behind their back?
Exactly. So it's just like, it was funny that it showed that like it was still there and that like they still were like trying to be the best female ever.
Yeah.
Even
in this society where they should like be helping each other, they're still
competing.
Competing.
Yeah.
I like how you put that too, because the two people that she's friends with in the book are both like that. One has an agenda and one is a lesbian.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, that's literally like what we girls are taught. Like, I remember I just started a job at Starbucks, and when Starbucks was still like cool, they had like actual coffee training classes for us that we would go to for like 3 days, and we got to like taste test all the coffee and teas. And so when I got there, I was like kind of lost. And I didn't know where I was supposed to go in the building. And I found this girl, and she looked like she was a part of it. So I asked her for help, and I sat next to her. And then I was like, hey, do you want to get lunch? And she was raised from a very Catholic perspective. And she told me later on that she thought I was hitting on her.
What?
And I'm like, no, I just don't
Hey, you're pretty.
know anyone here. And you helped me figure it out. And I'd like an ally.
Oh my God.
And she legit thought I was hitting on her. And I was like, I just didn't want to eat lunch alone.
Awesome. I love that. Oh,
That's awesome.
funny.
And
No,
I
that's
was
sad.
And later on in life, I was also actually trying to have more female friends because in high school, I was like, girls are bitches. You can't trust them. Boys are way cooler. They don't have any drama.
Yeah.
And so like I
Wow.
wanted to have like a more female friendships. And yeah, that's what we're taught.
Yeah,
It's true.
I think that's really sad. I don't know anything about that. I am interested in this.
Full disclosure, all of my friends are like 40-year-old dudes, so I have no
That's
input
weird,
on this.
Hannah.
It is weird. Girls don't like me.
Why? I'm curious. Why do you think girls don't like you?
Oh, I don't know. I just don't have any like close female friends here, so
That's
there's
So I have
something
to
about
ask
me.
one because I always ask, and for me,
Yeah.
it's always the same answer. I don't know about you. What do I? Have you ever asked a girl like why they didn't like you at first or something?
It's usually because they think I'm too nice.
And see, for me, it's like, well, you look like a bitch.
Yeah.
Wow, that is some
Yeah,
extreme
maybe it's that
difference.
one. I have been told I have resting bitch face, so
Yes.
it could be that.
And
I know-
maybe it's different because I've spoken to you, Hannah, but like I feel like you're a very chill, no fucks. Like you remind me of Crystal a lot. So I feel like you and I would get along really well. Like you just seem super chill. So I don't know, like maybe girls find that intimidating, similar to Crystal, where like you guys are just so chill that you don't feel like you need to put on this affront. So like your
Yeah.
confidence is overflowing. So they're actually like insecure. So they're like,
Yeah, isn't that
Bitch.
interesting? When you're a confident female, other people don't like you. Other
Yeah.
girls don't like you. Because
Yeah.
that has always been like the number one thing I've gotten from other girls. You seem like a bitch because you were so confident, or you seemed like a bitch because you didn't just like, I don't know, put on a nice face and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten
Isn't
some
that so
weird
sad?
things.
yeah.
It is sad. I
Yeah.
think it's really sad. And the thing is, I've talked to Hannah a lot about how she needs to open up more because, and not because she's closed off by any means, but because I'm so open.
He's overflowing with personality.
And I like telling stories and I like making people laugh. So it just like, when we have a conversation, 80% of it is me trying to make Hannah laugh.
He'd be a great girl.
I
That's
would
what
be
he's
a
saying.
great girl. And so like I've legit been like, Hannah, fucking talk about something, like open up. Jeez. So
Yep.
that's why I started the podcast with her, just so I could get her
Just
to
for
talk
that.
about herself.
So I think what we're saying is Crystal and I wouldn't make good connections in the Handmaid's Tale world.
I think you guys would be good walking companions.
we'd
Yeah,
be very good
because
at being
it's like-
fake pious.
You guys would actually
I would
probably
be a great resistance fighter because I just resting bitch face all the time. You can't tell what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Fuck all of you, girl.
I think you guys would probably break at the same time, and you'd probably both be like, God, Janine's such a fucking brown noser.
I would have been. I think I would have been fucking Emily when she like runs over people with the car.
Yes.
In the
Yeah.
one seat. I would have been like that. I would have been like, "Fuck you guys, I'm gonna die."
I don't know who I would be. I had lots of thoughts about that while I was watching and reading this content. Like, it's a strange place to have to get in like that survival state.
Yeah.
I think I would have been beaten a lot because like I speak my mind too much.
Yeah.
I probably would have been put up on the wall way sooner.
Oh, 100% I'd be on that wall day one.
Yeah.
Day one. I'd be like, what are you talking about? My wife got fired. Go fuck yourself. You piece of shit. No,
Yeah.
she's not fired. You're fired.
You know, that's a funny friendship thing too. In the beginning, in the book especially, Moira was talking about after all the lesbians lost their jobs and weren't allowed to
Yeah.
have bank accounts or whatever, they were like, oh, the gays will like do it for us. They have this like friendly alliance.
I did find it really interesting, by the way. This is kind of random, but Moira and Emily, who are June's friends in the show, are both lesbians.
Gender traders.
I know, it's just funny because there's like two totally separate storylines, right? Mm-hmm. But they both happen to be lesbians. They both happen to escape eventually.
Yeah.
And end up in Canada. I'm totally ruining it for you guys. Sorry. Ending up in Canada later on together, and Moira helps Emily out. And and helps raise the child that she brought up there. But it's just interesting because, like, why did they? Is Emily lesbian in the?
I don't think they said anything about it in the book.
There is not even a slight hint. And trust me, obviously I'm looking
Tyler's
for
looking
stuff.
for it.
It's just interesting that they decided to do it that way, and that they became friends afterward. I really liked that. I thought it was like a good, like almost mirroring arc in that sense.
It's a good win for like the gay community.
Yeah,
because like normally typical stories would make it that like your regular straight white female would have had more of a victory.
Yeah.
Well, and I like it because, Emily spends a lot more time, I feel like, in Gilead as a handmaid than Moira, obviously, right? Because Moira ends up in Jezebel's and then she gets out first. So Emily goes through a lot more fucked up things, in my opinion, than Moira. So when she gets out, she is so messed up that Moira really helps her get through it in Canada. Work through her issues, because she is like fucked up. They're talking about all the people they had to kill and stuff. And
like, I love it because Luke can't stand her being there because technically June should have gotten away. That's a whole nother thing. But so when he sees Emily, he's just like pissed and he wants her to leave. And Moira keeps basically telling Luke, shut the fuck up. You don't know what she's been through.
Yeah.
I need you to chill and leave the room.
Yeah.
Like she
think
puts
that's
him
what happens.
in his
Do you
place.
think that that's a moment in the show where it's kind of a commentary of like men in general? Shut the fuck up. You don't know what women are going through.
No,
I like that though.
I like
I'll
that.
take that. Yeah.
But I actually didn't take it that way. I took it more of that's just who Moira is. Like, she is a strong person and she speaks her mind. And Luke was
never there, so he can shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and Luke isn't actually like, he's being a dick, but he's not being like aggressively disrespectful to Emily. He's just like prying.
Just being passive.
Yeah, he's like prying, asking questions, and so like it's super chill. But the thing is, like, I was thinking about it while I was watching the show is okay, so say Crystal was June and me and Jason were stuck in Canada, which is Crystal's husband.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would ever be that aggressive towards Jason simply just because of our like current like relationship as friends. Because like even showing the progression, like the friendship between Luke and Moira, it's almost like they, in a friendly way, compete for like June's affection.
Yeah.
Like they're in the hospital and June's giving birth to Hannah. And Moira's like, oh, I got a playlist I want to play. And Luke is like, actually, no, I have one. And she's like, no one wants to listen to your garbage. And June's like, I like his garbage. And she's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, she's so upset that she like lost that battle. Mm-hmm. So it was a very interesting, like, sort of like circle of friendship those three have with each other, but they're both like always competing for June, because Moira's like, I had June first, like, and then you fucking came in here.
That's how it was with us, right? Yeah.
But it could just also
I was just gonna say, in the book,
No, you're good.
Moira didn't approve of their relationship, so that was always like a tense thing.
and that could be a thing that they hinted at in the show, because
They did, yeah.
all they said was that Moira wouldn't approve of June being with Luke because they were having an affair.
Oh, that's right. I
and
forgot
then
about all of this.
Later on, she's just more like aggressive towards him in scenes, and so that could be her passive of like, I don't approve of you because you fucking cheated and left your wife, so if you hurt June, I will fucking kill you.
But put all that aside, though.
Mm-hmm.
If I was Moira and I got out of there and I was taking care of Emily and Luke was there, every time he would start talking about Gilead, I'd be like, shut the fuck up. You were not there. Like,
No,
you don't
he
get
got
you
out.
don't get an opinion on it. He didn't even get to be in there. You know, he
Yeah.
escaped. He has zero opinion on it. You cannot be rude to people when they're fucking refugees.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily think it's on a commentary of like, because the whole point is just that they want everyone to be equal again in society. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's what Crystal's saying is that he just didn't experience Gilead. Like, he has no idea what she went through. So like, it is her own fucking timeline.
And he wasn't a good ally in the beginning either. In the book, they talked about how, like, when they were shutting down women's bank accounts or whatever, he told June basically like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's not that big a deal." And
Yeah,
when
I'll
she got
take care of
fired,
it.
he was like, "Oh, it's okay. I make money anyway, so you
Yeah.
don't really need a job."
Right, not the point.
So like,
Yeah.
Not the
yeah.
point.
Exactly. Which is also then why I like her mom makes a bunch of references like, you have so much fire and passion, I can't believe you're just all gonna put it into your husband and stuff like that. And they do kind of paint June originally in Before Gilead that she was very much like, life is fine, Luke's taking care of me, like I don't really need to do anything. And so I actually think now that she's become more of a fighter in Gilead because she's reflecting on like all the things her mom taught her and she fought so hard against. And she's like, I don't have anyone here for me. Like Luke is not here, so I have to do everything on my own now.
Yeah. 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 And going back, I know it's going back a little bit, but to go back to your point of how women are expected to treat each other, I think that that's really relevant right now because I've seen it quite a bit in, big movies and media of, kind of trying to break that. I was really impressed. I know this is going to be controversial. I was really impressed in the newest Star Wars movie.
Oh my God, I love you. I was just going to say that too.
Where Rey and I don't even remember her name, the girl that Poe is in love with.
Carrie Russell's character?
Yes.
Wait, no, the Poe. I don't know who these characters are. Is Poe the black actor or Isaac?
Isaac.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's in love with the Carrie Russell's character.
Yes. Yeah. So when they first meet, they're like, oh, they're after you, so maybe we should just get you. And then they fight really quickly. And I feel like in a lot of older movies or, I don't know, in a different time, they would have continued that rivalry. They would have been like, oh, well, you're not as good as me or something like that. But very quickly, she's like, just so you know, I think you're all right. And then they're friends, like immediately. And I thought that was really cool. That stuck out to me the first time I watched it because I was like, that's so against normal plot devising where usually they pit women against each other. And
true.
I've been seeing it more and more and more where it's like, no, women can just be friends. Mm-hmm. And there's I think it's called the vector test. I can't remember now. I'm really sorry. But there's this idea that a story's only good if two women can have a conversation that is more than three.
Oh, that doesn't involve men.
That does not involve a man. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the coolest theory, the coolest idea. Mm-hmm. And to the point where now when I'm writing my books, I am specifically writing stuff in like that because I have seen it so much where I've watched a movie and been like, there's not one conversation between two women where they're not talking about a man.
Mm-hmm. It's a big deal. Yeah, and when you see it, like it pops out at you, and it's really nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But sometimes you don't recognize it. You're like, why did I like that scene? And
right? Yeah, I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I didn't pick up on that in the new Star Wars. I was talking to her about it last time we hung out because she has her issues with the new Star Wars. But the one thing I love about
don't get me started.
The one thing I like about the three new Star Wars movies, the trilogy, was that it's a female lead. And that is what kept me watching it entirely. Like, I don't really care that much about the old ones. You guys can shoot me now. But I love it because it's Rey and she's a kick-ass girl. Like, that's why I watch it,
And I do think Rey is super kick-ass. I think that we were definitely benefited by a lot of issues with JJ. But I think that one of the things that we were graced with JJ is that he does come from Felicity and
Alias, female leads.
And Alias. So he has worked with a lot of female leads and he is very feminist in his approaches. And so I think that was something that he gave us, but I won't go down the rest of the things he did to those movies.
Yeah, remember this episode's on Handmaid's Tale, not Star Wars.
Yeah,
I did suggest that, by the way, when we were going through our season 2 stuff.
No.
I was like, can we do the new Star Wars movies?
No.
It would be a good episode for you guys, though. I mean,
okay, if you want to know anything about me, Tyler, I said this when we were talking the other night. Lord of the Rings is king, Harry Potter is prince.
And I agreed.
Star Wars doesn't even exist.
You have an entire podcast where you're talking about best friends and you're not going to talk about Luke and Leia, Han and Luke. Even if you go with the new saga, Poe and Finn are super best friends.
I don't care
really
because
good.
there's not enough completed scenes between them.
Obi-Wan
No.
and
Their
Qui-Gon
moments
Jinn.
last for like 2 seconds. They're not completed scenes. They are moments.
Yeah.
Nothing's developed.
We always make the
Obi-Wan and
argument
Qui-Gon
Star
Jinn
Wars
would
is
be a
not
good
a full
episode. That's all
Star
I'm
Wars
saying.
is not a full like world.
No.
You know? It's not
Your
Lord of the
computer's
Rings.
about to go dark. Just so you know. It's been 45 minutes. I
Yeah.
gotta get up and fix it.
So I think I know we were going to talk about like Emily and June, but I just want to jump over to Emily when she's in the colonies, which I was really happy the show finally showed the colonies because I didn't understand what the colonies was and I really wanted to know, and they just expressed that it was a really bad place that you don't ever want to go to.
Yeah.
So it was nice to get a visual of it. And when Emily's there, because she has a background in biology, she essentially takes on the role of being like the caretaker and like the doctor to all the women there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really cool because when Janine goes to the colonies, or no, not Janine, it's the one of the wives comes.
Yeah.
And when all the women see her and the way the women act when she walks in, they act like it's a fucking, but they act like a prison.
Yeah.
They like take her bed away from her. They fuck with her shit.
Oh my God.
And so that was then also a very interesting element that they put into the show. And I don't know if it was in the book, but
Not even a little bit.
Nope.
yeah, like I've seen how in TV shows, how men in prisons act towards each other, but women are very territorial. They're very catty. Like they will make it horrible for you. And so it's just really interesting that they treated the colonies like prison.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make myself sound really stupid right now, but this is bad.
No such thing.
This is bad. So the colonies in the show, right? It's like this desolate place. There's like fumes coming up out of the ground. And until you made me watch that recap yesterday, I had never put it together that it was like a place that had been nuked until the guy said that. I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. Why is that place killing them? Oh, it's because it was nuked. I had no idea.
Yeah,
was
which
like,
there's
I
no
don't
reason
understand.
to like dig up the dirt because it's forever going to be poisoned. That's just like a form of punishment. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I just didn't pick up on that. I don't understand why, but it's totally
No,
past
Isn't that
all
sort
good.
of like why everyone started going infertile though? Because like there was so much nuclear stuff going on and other biohazards.
They don't really say that. I thought it was more like the
I-
planet was dying and just the pollution was what was causing.
I actually think it's because men were going infertile because they kept making comments that men were sterile. Sorry, not infertile. Infertile's for women. So that the men were sterile. Like the doctor, when he comes in to see June, he
Yeah.
says like, I can impregnate you. Most of the commanders are not sterile. And also,
But all the wives are infertile.
no, I think some of the wives are not getting pregnant because the men are sterile. And because the men don't want to admit, like it's similar back in like, you know, during when we had kings and stuff like that. If
It was
the
the
woman,
women's fault.
it was always the woman's fault. And so I actually think there was a decline in the men becoming sterile. And therefore then it was women
You mean
were,
an increase in them becoming sterile?
yes, sorry, an increase
Okay.
in them becoming sterile.
Don't
so
mansplain it, Tyler.
No, I wanted to make sure I understood what you were saying.
Yeah.
I keep mixing up sterile and infertile. So yeah, there is an increase in the men becoming sterile, but because they believe that they are literally God's gift to the world, that they can do no wrong,
Yeah.
they put it on the women. And so they're like, we have to make sure we get all of like our fertile women. And I actually think that Serena could get pregnant, but she's only been with Fred her whole life. And so she assumes that she can't get pregnant because like the women aren't fertile anymore. And it's like, no, I think that there were a ton of men going sterile.
So was the
Yeah.
commander's way of being like, I can have sex with my wife and this other girl?
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. It is
a man's world.
misogynistic reign of terror that creates a system where men can and should, I air quotes, I can do air quotes with you guys, but the
Yeah.
listeners should be having sex with as many women as possible. Mm-hmm. Like it's just an excuse to get off. Like that's literally all it is.
Yeah. So like when they say Jacob and there's stupid things in the Bible. Sorry, no offense.
Offense.
Are we ready to get into that topic of conversation?
Because put stupid right in front of it. No offense there, but
it's a thing they say constantly. Jacob and Rachel and all the handmaids. Like, for all we know, all of Jacob's handmaids could have been getting impregnated by other men because they didn't want to die. Yeah. Because that's literally like what it came down to. Like, if you did not have a baby, you were worthless, and we just should kill you. That's why so many women back in the heyday, what I forget what these eras were called. Now I'm sounding stupid, but like,
are we talking Bible times?
No, like when there were kingdoms and like kings ruled and all that.
Okay.
Like
medieval,
Renaissance. Yeah. Like women.
Those are big difference,
Mesopotamia.
Yeah. Like women would get in trouble if they found out they had sex with another man, but they simply did it because they wanted to get pregnant, because otherwise they would be killed.
Sure.
Oh, like Henry VIII's wives.
Yeah. And it's because like
you don't get pregnant, you're gonna die.
Yeah, they're fucking sterile.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, like in the book, the commander's actually really fucking old. So of course it's gonna be even harder for him to have a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the book, Serena's really fucking old too. Like, let's get real.
Yeah.
In the show, totally different.
I saw a picture of the cast. And who do they have playing Serena?
Some young hot chick.
Yeah.
She's amazing though. She's
I do love her
in that role.
But that's the thing. I didn't understand that. I was like, in my head when I'm listening to this book, it's an old lady.
Yeah, she has a cane and stuff.
And she was from before the war. She was like an activist for conservatism.
Christians,
so how can she be so young?
I think they just kind of condensed the timeline for the show a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They changed a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, which I'm happy with all of like the liberties that they took in the show, because I think it's more relatable.
Yeah.
The one plot thing they did that I hate is, and I don't know if you guys, it's at the end of the book, so you may not have read the part, but in like the first episode where the handmaids all stoned that dude to death, do you remember that?
Yeah.
So in the book, he didn't do anything wrong. He was part of the resistance, and they framed him. And of Glenn/Emily, she like rushes in and kills him before everybody else can. Like,
she doesn't kill him. She knocks him out.
She knocks him out. Yeah, so he won't like suffer basically.
Oh.
So watching the show, that was like the first thing I was so pissed off. I'm like, why did you do this?
Yeah, I thought that was a good Emily moment.
Yeah,
that is really
good
interesting.
And it's the reason why she got killed.
Yeah, in the book.
Oh, okay, but I kind of do like how June thinks that I can't talk today. Moira is dead, and so she can't do anything about it, and so she takes it out on this guy. But she doesn't actually want to hurt him, but it's just an option for her to have a punching bag, which was also an interesting scene.
I agree.
True.
Yeah, but that would have been interesting to have in the show, but based on everything else that's written, I don't know how it would fit in.
I don't know. Yeah.
But
Emily also doesn't die in the show, so.
Yeah, I like that Emily is still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just another point of drama that they can have.
And I don't know that we know that she died in the book. She just disappeared. And because the books are only from June's point of view, you just never know what happens to anybody else.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
In season 3, this is like a little bit of a spoiler, but June starts working with the Marthas to help them with the resistance. And so it's really interesting that there are comments made that the Marthas aren't trusting the handmaids anymore before June rebonds them.
Yeah.
And so it's even interesting that everyone in their like separate their separate jobs and their women, they also don't want to like align with each other and help each other out. But the Marthas are actually very bonded, more so than the handmaids.
Well, because the Marthas are like the ones that gossip and find out all the dirty secrets. Because, I mean, they're in the household the most.
Yeah, like they're always in the rooms with the meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think they're able to bond more because there's less competition between them?
I don't...
Or the stakes are lower?
The stakes are lower, but I also feel like they have less opportunity to bond, right? Because they're kind of stuck in the house.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
They only see each other when they run errands or they do laundry or stuff like that.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah. And maybe because like I think some of them actually some are jealous of the handmaids, and then some also look at them as like, how could you do that? even though like they know they didn't have a
your other
choice.
So judgmental.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think there is some jealousy because like handmaids are a little spoiled because they have to stay healthy to make sure they can get pregnant.
Yeah. I would like to see, because in season 3, is it season 3? Or when June goes to Commander Lawrence's house. So I don't know if that's season 3, all of that.
Yeah.
But they show the Marthas doing they're like really into the resistance. And I'd love to see how they operate, like how they have their connections and talk about the resistance, because they don't really ever show any of that.
Yeah, I want to know who's assisting them, because it sounds like it's actually all the men who still have like the regular basic like blue collar jobs.
The Econo.
Yeah.
Econo husbands or whatever.
Yeah, it's like all the jobs that are like delivery trucks and construction and all that. It's like because they have to go to those facilities to get things from them, they're all still in communication, and I think those are the men that are helping them.
Oh.
But yeah, that's just me guessing though. And so I would like to see more of how their whole system works.
I think everyone, like, you build a world and all people want to see is how the systems work. Like that's what fantasy is built on. How does the magic system work? How does the kingdom system work? You know, sci-fi is the exact same way. So I think that's the general idea. And I think it's interesting. Handmaid's Tale as a book touches on it. You know, it shows this is how the system could be in this situation, this situation, this situation. Whereas the movie dramatizes it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The show.
Yeah, sorry, the show, not the movie.
Same
It's
thing.
a damn movie. Whatever.
It's a really long movie.
Yeah.
Never ending.
Yeah.
There is also, I don't know if you got this far, but did you get to where like Commander Waterford and his wife go to DC in the show? It's in season 3.
No.
Oh, okay.
Not
Because
there.
there's like
You can spoil it for me because I need to not have
This
any
isn't, like-
emotions attached to
this
this
isn't-
show.
this isn't that exciting, but it's really exciting to me. He like stays at this one commander's house, and he's like the head of DC or whatever, right? Like he's number 1 there, and Waterford is like kind of number 1 in Gilead. And the guy is like hitting on him the whole time. Like he's doing all these like sexual, like he is clearly wants to have sex with Fred. And I'm just wondering how that's all going to play out, but you haven't gotten there yet. So
No,
Is he
I
an
did.
unman or whatever?
What I really like is
Yeah,
that
like, what's
as you
gonna
were
happen?
talking about how a guy was hitting on another man, you were molesting Allie
I
over
know.
there. Like,
It's fine.
let me show you what was happening.
let me show you. They were playing pool, and he put his.
There's lots of butt slaps
Yeah,
that happen over here all the
yes.
time. It's
There was
fine.
like a.
It's like a football
There was
team
a
or
weird
something.
knee
Yeah.
grab.
Yeah. It's funny when Commander and Serena go to Canada to try and make like a treaty with them, sort of a thing. Mm-hmm. One of the like officials in the Canadian government, he comes up and he's like, I really enjoy the US visiting there. And the commander's like, oh yeah, tourism is something we really want to bring back. And he's like, yeah, me and my husband
yeah.
visiting there. And he's like, well, you guys should definitely return. He's like, maybe when we actually feel safe and wanted, we'll be there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yes, the burn.
And that's funny too,
Yeah.
though, because I just read, just started reading it, and there's like a tourist group that they talk about.
the
Yeah.
Like
Japanese
Asian
tourists.
tourist group, and I'm like, what the fuck? That's not in the show.
Yeah, that was really weird.
happening?
I think for me, the reason why she put it in, I think she put it in just to show how fucked up this specific area is. It is not the
Yeah.
whole world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and to show how helpless they are, because
That too,
they
yeah.
can't be like, help me.
Yeah, where they're like, are you
Yeah.
happy? Yeah, of course I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's
What am
like
I
how
gonna
it'd
say,
be if we
no?
could go to North Korea.
Ooh, and that was the thing that really pissed me off was when who was it? The president of somewhere in South America.
Mexico.
Oh yeah.
She comes and she asks June if she's happy, and of course everyone's staring at June, so she lies. But then later on, she tells her, and she's like, "I can't help you because we haven't had babies in so long." And it's like, you bitch, you
Yeah.
actually acted like you cared and you were a feminist, but you're like, I just really want babies because my community's dying, so I'm
Yeah.
fine with enslaving you and shipping off a bunch of you over there. And it's like, you monster.
Right.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
furious when that
Yeah,
happened.
that was an upsetting scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something
That's
similar
not on the books
happens
at all.
in season
I did
3.
not get upset.
Yeah. With
Oh.
Switzerland. With Switzerland in season 3.
I
Something.
haven't gotten to Switzerland. I was thinking about what happened in Chicago.
So
remember what happened in
you guys haven't read the book. You haven't finished the book. And I don't. It's not a spoiler.
It's fine.
It's not. I don't care.
The book, the end of the book is very interesting. Hannah, you finished it, right?
Yes. And it very much confused me the first time.
Really?
Like, you mean the afterword, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, I had no idea what that meant the first time.
That made the entire book for me.
Really?
I was like, meh about the book. And then as I finished it, as I was finishing that, I was like, this is so much better.
So I'm going to sum it up real quick then.
Go for it.
The book ends sort of similarly to the first season of the show with like a black van pulling up and Nick basically telling Fred or June to get in. But then the book just ends there and you don't know like if it was the resistance or if it was more the eyes.
Because after that in the show, that's when they go and pretend to hang all the girls to teach them a lesson.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But like it just ends with her getting in the van and you're like, what the hell? And then there's an afterword where there's all these like scholars.
They're professors and scholars, all of that.
Yeah, and they're
at a conference.
They're talking about it and the gist is like that her like she gave an oral account of her time as a handmaid.
Yeah.
And it got like memorialized somewhere and they're discussing
not memorialized it, so she made
a recording.
What you're reading is a transcript of her oral account.
Like she's testifying.
Yeah, but like a long time later.
And then what they found, how they transcribed it, they found the audio logs long lost. Mm-hmm. Like we would find something from
eras before.
Yeah. Probably not as far back like the Egyptians, but more like from World War I or World War II, and we go into a bombed facility and like imagine we go to an old concentration camp that got bombed or something, and then we found a diary of someone.
Like Anne Frank?
Oh, yeah, like Anne Frank.
I was trying not to do that, but yes.
Oh, okay.
It's the most obvious one.
Yeah. Found a diary of someone who was in the concentration camp, and then all the scholars have this great, they're like, oh my God, look at all this information. It is exactly the same setup. They found these audio logs and then transcribed it for everyone. And what you're reading is that.
Yeah.
So my question is, these scholars that are talking about it, is it like still Gilead? Or these people that were never in Gilead?
No.
Do they say anything about it?
They're talking about
it
like
is still Gilead,
it's still
isn't it?
Gilead, but like they've reverted back toward what Gilead was before. So it's like they've kind of taken down that regime.
Yeah, the regime is gone.
Interesting.
But it's Gilead, and even there's even a reference that it's a polytheistic belief system that they've gone to, because the professor that's giving the speech, I believe, says like, you know, and thank the goddess of knowledge that we found this, so that we can spread it and we can and see what the Gileads of old actually had to live through.
It's very interesting.
Super interesting.
But then she throws in like this little like depressing thing. Like one of the professors makes a sexist comment to one of the female professors, and you're like, oh shit. Like,
I didn't even catch that. What was that?
I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's something in the end. Like one of the male professors says something offhand sexist, and you're just like, damn it.
I'll have to
History
go back and
repeating
check that
itself.
out.
That's what it is. Do any of her other books like talk about like? I'm like looking at the book right now, right? And
Yeah.
it has all of her other. I'm like wondering, are any of the other books that she wrote like?
No, because I think that was the big deal with the Testaments, which came out last year. Like that was the first sequel or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But my understanding is that it's not about June at all.
At all.
It's about a whole different cast of characters. I think Aunt Lydia's in it, and then like one handmaid, and then one person on the Canadian side of the border.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A Canadian like
Interesting.
princess or someone, heiress or
Yeah.
something. She comes into Gilead and sees it and
Oh, are
gives
you reading
testimony.
it?
Nah, I've read about it though, because
Oh,
I
okay.
wanted to know if it continued
Sounds
the
about right.
story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to see how her other books read. I have no idea how they read.
She's written so many.
I know.
Right.
Where do you start?
I would definitely say though that I feel like the Emily and June friendship is really important, because they kind of start the whole thing of like handmaids need to be allies to each other.
Yeah.
So I feel like they really start that, and also like they need to learn to trust each other, and also just be kind to each other regardless of like when shit goes down. Like we're all in this together.
I think
And then-
June shows that really well with Janine too, just how tender she is with her when she's totally losing her shit.
Yeah.
She I also feel like Emily really ignites, at least in the show, ignites June into the resistance. Like June's just kind of like, I guess I'm fucking stuck like this. And then Glenn's like, hey dude, look, we can do some shit. You just gotta tell me what's happening at Waterford's house. So
yeah, she kind of is like
ignites
a shadow of her mom and gets her going again.
Yeah, which is
June needs those strong female friends.
Yeah. And I like seeing that because Alexis Bledel on the show, she has such a cute baby face. So she like looks so sad and just like whatever half the time. But then when she actually is like running people over or trying to kill trying to kill Aunt Lydia later, you're like, fuck, she's awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
oh
like
God.
a side note, I didn't ever think that like Rory Gilmore would leave my brain, but like dear God, she's fucking Emily in this show. Like she's terrifying and I love her. And then with Moira and June, I love their friendship just because they've known each other for so long. They have a very like sisterly bond, and I think that they keep each other fighting. Like I feel that Moira is fighting for the refugees because she wants to hopefully one day get June out, and she wants to be strong for June, and vice versa. Like Moira is the one who lit the fire in June to like keep her shit together and like continue to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like also an important friendship to have.
I feel like, I'm sorry, we got to go back to Emily for a second because I got to cover this. You guys haven't seen this, but in season 2, right? June has a baby with Nick, the driver, right? Serena's baby. But she ends up trying to escape with Emily. And she ends up trusting Emily with her child and says, take it to Canada. And she stays back to find her other child. I'm just saying, that's serious trust right there.
No, that
to
is.
give your baby to your friend and be like, go, you got this.
I'm like fine with that. I'm just mad she didn't get on that fucking truck.
Yeah, she got really angry.
Hannah was fine.
She texted me like, what the fuck?
I would have loved to seen the show where they're all in Canada figuring out how to save Hannah.
Yeah,
But,
Hannah
you know,
had time.
Yeah, she's fine.
She's not at risk
Fucking
of becoming
Christ.
a handmaid yet.
The show doesn't have to end just because June is like rescued and in Canada. Anyways, very upset about this. But yeah, that was a huge trust that June did, and because she knew Emily had a good heart and that she was a mom, she had her son over there, like she would do whatever it took to make sure that like she stayed alive.
That's some serious trust.
Yeah.
Take
I
my
think
baby.
I think it's really interesting. It's two different types of friendships, I think. Like with me, I have my best friend, John, and John and I are best friends because we can argue like for hours and never be mad at each other, but we argue about shit like God and you know, like which is the best Doctor Who, and is The Last Jedi a good movie or not, and the existential eternalism of our souls. Like we jump around with the most random shit and we're arguing at the top of our lungs, and then at the end of the day we love each other because we're keeping each other accountable and all that. And I think that's more like a Moira and June sort of thing. But then like with my older brother, he and I are best friends, and when I have kids, he's going to be the godfather because I wouldn't trust my kid with anybody else. And so I think that you can have two best friends who give you different things, who have different relationships. And I think that's exactly what we see. I mean, from what you're telling me, I don't see that in the books at all, like literally at all. But from the way the TV show sounds, that's exactly how my life is, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's something that Crystal and I discuss on our show a lot, is that like you can have multiple best friends and they're all unique and it's a different type of relationship, and it's important that you have those different branches of friendship because you're not going to get necessarily the same thing from every person.
Yeah.
And because everyone's different too.
And those friendships are born out of different parts of your life, right? Mm-hmm. Like Moira was her friend before Gilead was a thing, right? Whereas Emily is born out of being in Gilead and going through this shit together. So entirely different friendships and the way they start and why they start.
Yeah, and therefore it creates different bonds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then it's important for June to have both of those, and it doesn't discredit either friendship.
I hope there is a scene one day where June gets out and she's sitting with both of them in Canada, and I would like to see how that goes, the three of them.
That would, I would
Maybe
love it.
Moira and Emily will be best friends by that point, and they'll just be like, June who?
Right.
Yeah, well, I liked the last
would be an interesting
episode
dynamic.
I saw in season 3 had them hanging out together in Canada, and Moira was just kind of like helping Emily get through her emotions of getting out and stuff. And they were like comparing lesbians that they used to know, and they're like, how did we not know each other? We were both lesbians in college. We have no, apparently, maybe this is a thing, I don't know, but she was saying, you know, every lesbian knows a lesbian between like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but for
like
lesbians.
2
And I was
It's
like,
a thing. My friend,
Yeah,
one of my
so-
friends, she's lesbian, and she feels like they all need to know each other and should.
yeah,
Like she
that
has
is a
a-
conversation they have. She's like, you don't know that person? You don't know that? Well, how did this happen?
Yeah, like she has a whole clan of like her lesbian friends. Like whenever I go to her house for like events for birthdays and stuff, I'm the only straight person there. And she's like, Allie, you should feel really special because I just don't hang out with straight people. They're annoying. Yeah, so it's apparently like
It's a thing, I guess.
You know everyone in your community. Yeah. Well, I think it's similar. Like the other day I was realizing that, and this just happened like accidentally, I don't really have any single friends anymore.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and it was more that like I became friends with people while they were single, and then they ended up becoming in a couple, or I became friends with someone and didn't know that like they had a significant other. But yeah, like
It's that age though. It's just
Yeah.
the age thing. Like all of my friends went through the getting married, not all of them, but you know, most of them went through the getting married phase. And just the other day I was on my feed on Instagram and I go, what the fuck? Every single friend of mine has a baby now. Like, how did I get to this point in my life? Like
cats.
This is so weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Yeah. I know
Just
because
that age.
I've been like listening to a bunch of different podcasts and like women interviewing women, and majority of them are like 30, 32, 35, and they're all talking about like their first pregnancies, and I'm just like, what?
Pass.
That's what is this what we talk about now at this age? And two of my
Yes.
best friends like both have babies. One's pregnant with her second one, and I'm like, I'm not even married yet. Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're behind the times, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's okay.
Hannah's my only single friend, so
Oh God. I'm glad I could keep you in touch with the single community.
yeah. Well,
Right.
you gotta
It
know
sucks.
someone. Yeah.
But I would definitely say that Crystal is my Moira. I guess my Emily would be like my friends Ivy and Sarah, because I met them like after I moved to LA. And I guess I akin it to that because like when you move to a new city, it's really hard to make friends,
Yeah, that's true.
especially when you're an adult. People just
Yeah.
like don't want to do
It's
the work.
so much harder.
Yeah.
Like unless
You
you
either-
make friends at the workplace, like
Yeah.
you're
It's like
SOL.
work or gym. That's usually it.
But
That's
how do
how
you
you
make
make
gym
friends.
friends? I never want to talk to anybody at the
Yeah, I
gym.
couldn't
Well,
do
no,
it.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that because I don't actually go to a gym, but I like go to a karate studio and I met friends that way. So
Oh, that seems a little more approachable because like
You're there
doing
with
something
them.
together.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
like on
I have
the
to hit you in the
treadmill next to
face.
someone.
Are we
it's
friends?
like partner work kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah.
Hannah,
so-
Hannah, do you have a Moira and Emily?
I don't. Well,
What?
I mean, I know they have penises, but
She
it still
has
counts.
40-year-old Moira.
right? Yeah.
Emily.
my first- oh. Nah, it's too hard to think of them as a Moira or an Emily. I guess my Moira would be my sister because she's like way more outgoing and bold than me and that kind of thing.
Cold?
No,
Bold.
bold.
Oh.
Bold. No, I'm the cold one. But yeah.
Am I your Emily?
No.
Damn it.
No. No, because
Just let him be your
maybe.
Emily.
I was
my
about
Emily,
to ask.
right?
I literally went through my head. All right, this is fucked up. I went through my head of all the guys in that fucking story, and I was about to ask if I was any of them. Right? Of Fred? No. Fuck no. Or not of Fred. Fred. No. Fuck no. Luke? No, because we're not gonna get married. Nick? No, because we're not gonna have a fucking affair. Like you and I could not be friends in Gilead.
we can't exist in Gilead.
Yeah, that's fucking bullshit.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Oh, well.
I'm sorry that we can't exist
I
in a
think-
horrible
could be
dystopian
your
society.
Now that I'm thinking about it, now that I'm on this commentary, if there's anything about that book I don't like, it's that you can't have just a guy friend. It's that there's no guys that are
That's
just
true.
friends.
No platonic relationships.
Nope.
I mean,
No,
that's
it's
the point
all-
of the book.
Yeah.
Girls are just there to have babies and be a
not,
wife.
Not good for anything else.
Cook and clean.
Bullshit.
Can't read or write.
All the good guys, all the friend guys, the friend zone guys, they end up on the wall. They should just call the wall the friend zone.
Right?
I'm going to start saying that. I'll be like, I put that dude on the wall.
That sounds so sexual, though. You should not say that.
No, because we
terrible.
get what it means. Oh, man.
Well, closing
You got to fuck
thoughts?
to survive.
Closing
Ooh.
thoughts. Here's my
Gilead.
closing thought. We're gonna go
Yeah.
for another hour after it. This was not Christianity, because the real Christians were the rebels. Just throwing that out there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
weren't you
Margaret
going to
Atwood
talk
has
more
talked
about? I thought Tyler was going to talk more about the Bible related stuff.
He was
I
very
can, but
reserved.
we're at an hour and a half. Do you guys want to talk
Oh.
about that?
Shit.
Well, I think 15 minutes of that is set up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the first
Yeah.
15 probably is like.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just fucking
do
around.
the 45-second Bible spiel.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
tie the Bible guy
Yes.
thing. Okay. And Allie, you said that you had grown up doing some of that Christian stuff.
Not some. I was.
You were in it.
I signed a purity contract, but boy, did I break
What the
that.
fuck? I didn't
oh,
know
yeah.
that. I didn't know that.
I got.
Oh,
not
yeah.
to,
I
not to
vowed
one-up
I would
you.
not have sex with
What?
anyone until I got married, but guess what? I lost it before that, and I'm happy
You want to know
about
the?
it.
Hold on. You want to know the one memory I have of your church? I went to her church once with her. I don't remember how old I was. It was like Easter or something, and there was a magician there for the
Nice.
kids.
What?
That's what I remember. That was it. That's all I remember about
so,
it.
like, one of the few
I was
things
like, fuck yeah, it's a
I
magician.
actually liked about church is we had this thing called Awana.
Oh
it
yeah,
bas-
we have Awana.
Yeah, so it was
What is
basically like Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts, but you had to like, you got like patches for like your vest or your sash for how many Bible verses you
Like how you
memorized.
framed your boobs when you said you
know.
got patches. Did they go on your boobs?
They did. Yeah, so like the more Bible verses you memorized, you got like these patches, similar to like in
Oh.
Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts if you like achieved a level of skill learned.
Interesting.
So like that was cool because like I actually felt like I was learning.
Did that inspire your love of memorizing lines for acting?
Oh no, they weren't even related.
It could have been. It could have been.
I
It's
know,
great.
right? And then I switched churches in high school because and I also switched high schools, and so I was now going to the same church that a lot of kids I went to school with went to, and that was like a lot of just me wanting to like get closer to God. But that is the church that made me leave because there was this competitiveness about who loved God better. And it was literally just shit talking about like, I'm a better Christian than you.
Yeah.
And,
God.
and so like anything you did was like judgy. And basically like, I just felt like I had to leave because like I couldn't cuss. That made me a sinner. I couldn't do things with boys. Like all these things
yeah.
that like as a feminist, it's like, there's nothing wrong like experiencing sexuality and all that. And or just like I had friends who were gay and all this other stuff, and so
Yeah.
I was like, these things don't align with who I am.
Yeah.
And I had tears of guilt, of Christian guilt, which is really hard to get rid of. And now I'm like, I don't give a fuck about anything. And I also had friends come up to me and say, you probably left the church because you have a bad relationship for your parents and you need to
I
come
hate
back
that.
because they say like your parents are related to God, which is why like you're disconnected, and they wanted to pray for me. And I was like, do not fucking pray for me.
I hate the judgmental side of religion.
Yeah,
Why does it
and
have to be like that?
That was basically why like I don't want to have anything to do with it. I consider myself more of like a spiritual person now. I believe that it's more of like a universal force than God, but I'm also really into like karma and tarot cards and crystals.
I thought you said universal forest, by the way.
Oh, universal
I could
force.
get behind that.
That's cool.
Yeah,
It's like, that sounds
Yeah.
awesome.
right. So yeah, I'm
Hey,
into like
that's actually
tarot
pretty
cards,
close to an idea
crystals.
that I've had. I told you about
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's Tyler's future religion.
No, well, kinda. It's the religion that I built in my book that I'm writing.
But we're talking about the Handmaid's
Yes,
Tale.
thank you.
Religion
Sorry.
Spiel.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, the evidence is there that the regime has differences from Christianity in a few different ways. One, the main rebels are Quakers and Baptists.
Oh yeah.
Right, and Catholics in some ways.
Yeah, basically all the other religions that weren't allowed to fit within Gilead.
Yeah, and so first of all, there's that, which, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and be like, this is the real version of Christianity
about all the
because that's
lesbians?
BS. What's
They're
that?
just atheists.
What about all the lesbians? Like, they're in their resistance.
Yeah.
Like Emily.
Right, and I'm yeah,
But
exactly.
in the book, though, that wasn't.
Oh, okay.
In the book, it was the Quakers and the.
There, yeah,
Okay.
but that's the thing, though, man. Like, in real life, let's step out of the book for a second. In real life, there, especially in Portland, especially on the West Coast, I don't know about the East Coast because I don't live there. There are so many life-affirming churches. Like, it's bullshit for people to sit here and go, you have to choose to either be a Christian or be life-affirming. You have to be a churchgoer or like gays. That's bullshit. And it's something that is propagated, I don't know, from someone and people who want to establish their own righteousness. And I hate it. I hate it so much. So, like, when I read a book where Quakers and gays and lesbians are on the same side, it makes sense to me. I don't question it for even a second because Quakers are very open-minded people. And if you look at the history of Quakers in America, they're generally the best people that there are. They're not Puritans. They're not people who persecuted and hung witches or anything like that. Mm-hmm. They are people who went out and they loved and they helped and they built and they just gave and gave and gave.
And hold on, correct me if I'm wrong, because I just read a book that had Quakers in it. They're like the only ones that believe that you can talk directly to God, right?
I don't know about
Lutherans do too.
Really?
Yeah. That was why Martin Luther nailed the theses on the door of the Catholic Church.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that. I'm not gonna sit here and speak on what the beliefs of a specific religious group of people are, because one, generally people in a group don't all agree, and two, I don't know everything about all Protestant faiths. That's insane.
You. That's your one job, Tyler.
Yeah, if you're gonna be
so
Christian,
many.
you gotta know it all.
But then on top of that, when in this book there are several places where there's scripture used to propagate different ideas. 90% of them are all Old Testament, so it's something that bothers the shit out of me, because whenever people say God, you automatically assume Christianity. But nobody ever says Jesus. Nobody ever says Christ. So this is not Christianity. This is just theology, right?
Yeah,
Judaism.
because technically, if I'm wrong, tell me if I'm wrong, Tyler, but like if you are a Christian, no matter what form or branch you are of it, we live in the New Testament. Jesus has already come and saved us.
Yes. If you're a Christian, you believe that Jesus of Nazareth died and resurrected and was and is God. That is it. That is the only fundamental thing you have to believe in to be a Christian. That's it. That's a universal thing. Everything else is outside. That's where different sects of Christianity come in. That's where different denominations are. This group does not ever propagate Jesus as Christ or God or anything. So again,
That's a good point. I never realized that.
not Christians. Also, the only verse that they reference in the New Testament, they change so that they can propagate their own regime. It is not the original verse. I had it. I fucking had it. I'm so fucking sorry that I don't remember it off the top of my head. If you guys want, we can take a break and I can look it up because I don't want to sound like a douchebag. But basically, they said the verse is, "Blessed are those who are meek. Blessed are those that are this. Blessed are those that are this and this and this." They take out the part where you inherit a kingdom of God, inherit the kingdom of God, because that would give too much power to the women. And then they add in, blessed are those that are silent, because that takes power away from the women. They take away and they add from the scripture, and not in a translation way where, like, in the original Hebrew it said this and this and this. There's nothing like that. And I looked it up. I did a Bible study on this after I read this book. So the only New Testament, the only thing that is close to Christianity, they change so it's not Christianity.
Interesting.
I never even put those two together. But yeah, it's still like a religious thing though that they're using. I feel like it was just a way to put like God-fearing power.
They're using the Old Testament, which as Jews, we only use the Old Testament, right? And we always joke, all the Jews, not just me and Jay. Sorry. Hold on.
She's dying.
Yeah, have some water. It's okay.
All the Jews always joke that, oh my God, I don't know how
The Jewish religion
really
does not want you to say this.
we always joke that that God was so mean in the Old Testament.
So mean.
And that's like essentially like kind of what they use in this show, right? I mean, they're using him as a fear tactic, really.
Yeah.
And that's what I really get upset when they're like, I played the game Far Cry. I don't know if you guys
I've heard of it.
Ladies, no, okay.
No.
I'm a guy in a room full of ladies. It's totally fine.
You knew I wasn't going to get this before you said it.
Well, I know what Far Cry is.
But did you play it?
No, because I don't play a ton of video games.
Yeah.
Mostly because they stress me out.
Oh yeah, I totally get that.
So
Far Cry was the last one that it was Far Cry 5. It was the last one I played, and I was going insane because they're just doing all this religious stuff, and I'm going around like the point of the game is to go and kill people because they're in a cult and they're taking over these towns, and I'm going around and I'm like doing it in the meanest possible way, and Becca's like, what is wrong with you, Tyler? Why are you bashing that dude's face into the bat? And I'm like, because he's propagating a form of religion that uses my God.
You're like, this is the Crusades, bitch.
Yeah, I'm like, I get so upset when people use the Bible in a way that is slanderous.
So wait, do you like the way that Margaret Atwood incorporated it? Do you think she did a respectful job?
I think she did a great job of using what people would use to create a regime that holds people down. I just wanted it to be said that the regime in of itself is not Christian.
Yeah, you just wanted...
I just needed to say that.
Because your uneducated reader like me is going to read it
and
be
go,
like,
these are
oh,
Christians.
Christians suck, man.
Yeah.
Which I don't believe, but
right.
I think that's what most people who don't understand religion would read it and be like, oh, this is Christianity.
Yeah, no, I saw it more as just like religion is always sort of the totem that people use when they want to create like a totalitarian dictatorship and rule over people.
Yeah, I agree completely. I also think you can do the opposite when you look at communism, where religion's not allowed at all, and then you use the government.
But then
as
government
the people.
is God, so you still have like a religion.
There's some form of like God holder in place.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I know that not all of Christianity is like that. It's more organized religion that pisses me off more than anything. Because like when I lived in Sacramento, we had churches that were on like the side of the gay community when like Prop 8 was a thing, and so like they had the gay communities back. So it's more just like it's a lot of propaganda, it's a lot of like negative marketing and all that. And
I think
people,
it's just groupthink.
Yeah.
That's the main enemy here.
And Hannah and I deal with that here in a small town in Oregon, where like there's a constant battle. Within the last year, we've had to deal with a lot of that stuff, with the whole transgender stuff that's been going on.
Yeah, Tyler more so than me. I just live out in the sticks where nobody can bother me.
I run a news podcast in a small town where like there has been a lot of transgender phobia and progress made in the last year, and it's been crazy to watch and to see where a lot of people fall. And I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good place to wrap up. No, not like in a bad way.
No,
just
I
like
get it. Yeah, we let Tyler talk about God. I guess we're done.
Blood pressure is like up here right now.
I'm ready for a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. So this was fun.
Yeah.
And
I think we made the Handmaid's Tale less depressing.
yes, we definitely did. There's a lot of sisterhood going on in there.
There is.
So, do you want to go out telling people where everybody can find everybody that's involved in this?
Yeah. So
Yeah, why don't you?
our co-host that joined us today is Lewis and Lovecraft.
Yeah.
You can find them on the social medias and on
the interwebs.
on all the podcast platforms.
Our website is lewisandlovecraft.com.
They got a website.
Yeah, I know. They make us look bad. I'm like, you
What the hell?
do it all.
It's all Tyler.
Maybe I should just make Tyler make our website.
Right?
I'll do it. I'd have fun doing that.
You heard him here. He said yes, it's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening.
You guys need a t-shirt?
Verbal contract.
You guys need some merch made?
Yes. Yes, we do.
I need all these things because there's only so many things I can do.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So you guys should definitely check them out. And
if you're listening to Between Lewis and Lovecraft, then our guest host, Hannah, take it away.
Are Crystal and Allie from Best Friends Playbook.
Where can they find them, Hannah?
You can find them on the socials. Not on a website because they don't have that yet.
nope.
But definitely follow their Instagram because they make awesome pictures.
Where do you guys generally
Thank
send
you.
people to? Your podcast landing page or like your Instagram?
I mean,
I
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
just have a link tree. So on the link tree, it basically connects to any place you can listen to our podcast. And then I think like 2 of our social media handles are on there.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they could come to our Instagram because I just prefer Instagram.
And it's Best Friends Playbook, not Best Friends Play Playlist,
Which is what Tyler
which
said.
is what I call it the first
And then
time.
it got stuck in my head like that. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's okay
No,
because
it's supposed to be a book like kind of like a sports playbook.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
We
my
based
name's
it off of Silver Linings Playbook.
Yes.
Oh.
And then
That's what I
Sports
thought it
Playbook
was. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I
together. Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to like pun it off of a movie too.
Yeah. It took a lot.
Yeah.
By the
to
way,
figure that out.
I really like your guys' intro and stuff. Like you guys using your own voices to do the quotes and things from stuff. I thought that was really good.
We're actually re-recording a new one with new quotes for season 2.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like today after this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And if you like our intro, outro music, you can find all of that at, you can thank Jake Basson.
Oh, yeah. We always thank Jake for our intro music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bassen. You can
On
find his
SoundCloud.
music on SoundCloud. I don't know if you guys do this, but we beg people to follow us and subscribe because the best way for podcasts to get better and bigger is for you to share them with people.
Tell a friend.
Yeah, we'll do some begging. If you guys are listening to us from Lewis and Lovecraft, please come check us out. Please leave us a review.
Yeah.
I really want our reviews to grow because that's how we get pushed up on podcast platforms. So that way people can just find us organically. And also follow us on social media. You could go over to Twitter too. Our Twitter account's a little lonely.
Oh, well, I'll follow you guys then.
Yeah, I'm not going to do
Thanks.
that.
I didn't know we had a
'cause I don't
Twitter.
have one. I was
I don't
looking
have
at
Twitter.
our Podbean stats the other day, and I saw that 52% of our listeners are on Apple.
Most
so-
of our listeners are on Apple too.
So if you're listening to this show, either one, if you're listening to Playbook or Lovecraft, go leave a review. One or the other, or both would be better. We know you're listening on Apple, so you gotta leave a review. Like,
It's super simple, guys.
it's not hard. It
Super.
takes like literally 1 minute. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna get mad at you.
I have to beg.
not their
I was like
fault.
thinking about it this morning about all the people I know that listen that haven't given us a review yet. I gotta
know.
go beg them all.
Yeah,
I feel like
know.
people that you know are less likely to do it.
That is very true.
You usually have to remind them a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We'll just give a shout out to Katie because I only had to tell her once.
Yeah. I had to do that with somebody too.
Leo?
Yeah, Leo did it after one. Yes.
I'm
yes.
slacking.
Yeah.
I don't
Thanks,
think I've
Leo.
got anybody
You guys
to
should
give
check
us
out.
a-
We'll give a shout out to Leo because he like really pushed us to get us going. Their podcast is called the Boo Crew podcast, and they do like horror films, and they interview actors from upcoming horror films.
Yes, it's a very
That's
good
cool.
podcast.
Very
Love you,
cool.
Leo.
Yeah,
Boo Crew is a good fandom name too.
right.
It is. They have like a whole following there.
Yeah,
we
they're
can
super
start
great.
another podcast called the Ghoul Gang.
Yeah, we're not. We've come full circle.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for listening. And guys, seriously, Crystal and Allie, thank you for hanging out
This
with
is
us.
fun.
It was so
Yeah,
much
thank
fun.
you for reaching out and wanting to do the collab. I'm super happy this happened, and I think we'll
We'll
definitely
have to do it again.
Yeah, we'll have more in the future.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure. Sis.
Guys, have a great week, and may the Lord open you
Under his eye.
under his eye.
Praised be.
What, isn't there like a blessed be the
Blessed
something?
be the fruit.
Blessed be the fruit.
Blessed be the fruit, guys.
Blessed
Yeah.
be the fruit.
Yeah.
So awkward.
I want to know how these dumb fuck men twats came up with all those goddamn sayings.
I don't know.
They're
It was
so
probably
stupid.
the ladies, though. That's probably what it was.
Serena.
You put
Oh,
women
yeah.
in that position, and they like. Allie, I'm sure you understand. You've seen women who have been so mind absorbed into the Bible that they propagate things themselves, like
Oh, I know.
the whole like chastity thing and all that. I was gonna say earlier, I was on a team of abstinent. Like I'd go to the middle schools and be like abstinence.
What?
Yeah. Of course,
the best
I was
thing
also
ever.
one of the few people that actually did that. But
You were
whatever.
those people who gave out the "I'm worth waiting for" buttons.
Yep.
Aw.
Yep. I gave that out. And
That's cute.
I was like the cool guy that would be like, "Yo, what's up?" So, when you get to
Okay.
high school, there's going to be all kinds of stuff.
She's my friend because we know what it's like for people to be jealous of us.
It's so nice when you can sit with someone and not have to talk. You and I are a team. Nothing is more important than our friendship. Thank you for listening to the Best Friends Playbook podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
You can also email us episode suggestions at bestfriendsplaybook@gmail.com. And if you could please leave us a review on iTunes, it helps us greatly to grow our podcast.